Welcome back to Lost Odyssey. So yeah, let's get Mack, who lost himself lost in the Crimson Forest. Go ahead, Lips.
The Crimson Forest is in the mountains to the west. You better hurry, there are monsters showing up outside of town.
I've heard rumors that the monsters have been increasing lately. So yeah, Cook has now joined the party, and she's a white mage. Basically.
It's weird. Her artwork even makes it look like an anime Rugrat.
Like, the classes in this game don't have names, not that we're told at least, so I guess we'll just call her a healer.
It's more about the specialization of the characters.
I'm guessing it's a case like each character is just unique enough to be considered their own class.
Outside of the Immortals, as mentioned, are basically the jack of all trades that can learn any skill.
Mm-hmm. Jensen is a black
sense.
mage, Cook is a white mage, whereas we'll see what Mack is when we get him in the party.
Maybe he'll be a red mage.
No. He's actually a more physical fighter.
Okay. Maybe a paladin.
No. Well, a paladin...
Again, Joe, we will see.
Paladins can be physical, Pedro.
That is true, I know, that's why I stopped myself, but I'm not sure if I would classify Mack's ability as abilities of a paladin.
Fair enough. Like Tia said, I guess I'll just see in time.
And yeah, she has casting support, which are... okay.
So, do you have like a particular favorite character to play as based off of moveset, or would you say they're all relatively well-rounded enough that no one really stands out much from the others?
Not particularly. Like, the ones carrying the entire party are basically the Immortals, because they're way stronger in every aspect. So basically, the Immortals are basically the ones that are basically carrying the party, and the other ones are basically being carried most of the time.
Look at that. Gameplay and story integration.
They're there for mostly support stuff. And look at that. A bell. Kaim recalls a memory that was locked deep within his heart.
Of all times.
Alright.
Time
Yeah.
when a bell killed my father.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But Kaim, I thought you said... But Kaim, I thought you said that a snake killed your father. Which is it?
I lied.
Evening.
Yeah, sure.
Bell.
Yeah, sure. I have time to reminisce while
This
my
clock
grandson...
tower.
Maybe.
Yeah, sure. I have time to reminisce while my grandson is in a dangerous forest.
Rolling farmland spread out before him. Kaim harvests vegetables, wielding his hoe with deep concentration. The sky on this autumn evening is a deep crimson.
All the while in slow motion, apparently.
On old McDonald's farm, are we now?
Do it, Job, you can be this woman, go ahead.
Oh, maybe we should call it a day.
Says the heavy-set woman who owns the farm. She drops an armload of vegetables into the basket. Kaim nods and wipes the sweat from his brow.
You're a tremendous help.
Says the woman.
Look how much we've done.
Kaim responds to her praise with a slight nod.
You still can't remember where you came from?
She asks.
It ain't much, but it's honest work.
Go ahead, too.
Afraid not.
Well, the way you work.
She says with an easy laugh.
I don't care if you're from the moon. Seriously, Kaim, what will you do when the harvest ends?
I don't know yet. I haven't made up my mind.
There's plenty of work to do here, even in winter.
She says.
It'd be fine with me if you wanted to stay on a while longer.
Thank you.
I'm coming from the moon.
She herself is a hard worker and a warm human being. That is not a life that allows for luxuries, but going out to the fields alone every day and ending work as the sun goes down softens the heart, even as it toughens the body.
How lovely.
I don't know.
Nothing sad will happen, I'm sure.
As they prepare to leave the field, a small bell begins to ring. The hour is still somewhat early for the church's evening, but also, Mr. Ryder, I don't know, Eustace didn't really got a soft heart from being a farmer. Kaim glances down to the road at the base of the hill.
Suggests that he has a soft
A funeral
he just hides it.
The mourns a horse covering a coffin. The woman sets her hoe on the ground, removes her headscarf, and clasps her hands together. Kaim scans the hills to find that the other workers on their surrounding farms are doing the same thing, clasping their hands, bowing their heads, and closing their eyes in the direction of the passing funeral. Kaim follows their example. The old man leading the funeral procession rings the little bell. It's ringing echoes among the hills, and then everybody falls,
Going a
and,
bingo.
and then everybody falls asleep from the
God.
bell ringing. And then they
And
were,
who replaced it with pure silver?
and then we wake up and the town is burning. The mourners pass in silence. The women in black veils, the men in black coats, heads bowed. The children in the rear elbow each other playfully, unaware of the meaning of death.
And the babies are sleeping.
When the funeral has passed, the woman raises her head and blinks her moistened eyes. Go ahead.
The one who passed away is going home.
She says.
Home?
Kaim asks, somewhat startled.
Home. To the soil. To the sky. To the sea. Like all living things.
Kaim nods in silent recognition. How many deaths has he seen in this endlessly long life of his? I mean, at this point, narrator, it's too much to count.
How many loaf of breads have you eaten in your life?
All those people leave this world of ours, and we never see them again. In that sense, death is an infinitely sad event. If, however, we think that in dying they go back to their home somewhere, a certain comfort and even joy comes to mingle with the sadness. But Kaim, who can never grow old or die, can never go home.
Home to the moon. Because Eggman blew it up.
The woman scoops up a handful of earth and says with deep feeling,
Many lives have become a part of this soil. The lives of tiny living things we can't see. The lives of withered grass. If you think about it that way, our vegetables are made for us by the lives of many others.
I see.
Can I ask you a favor, Kaim?
Of course.
If I should die while you're working here, would you scatter some of my ashes on this field for me? A handful would do.
Also, we're operating on
Foreshadowing.
Marvel logic. We should be really sad for the molecules.
Kaim is at a loss for words. He forces a smile. Husband dead, children on their own. The woman lives by herself on the farm. Kaim knows that if he goes on working here, like it or not, he will eventually have to watch over the woman's deathbed, even if she were to die 100, 200 years from now.
Plot twist, she's actually still alive by the time of the game's modern days. She's just that stubborn.
Gonna say no.
The church bell rings, signaling the end of the workday. The woman clasps her hands before her as she did when the funeral passed.
Oh, I have been allowed to come safely for one more day. For this, I give my heartfelt thanks. May tomorrow be another healthy day for me.
Her voice in prayer resounds forcefully in Kaim's breast. This happens every time he hears the church's evening bell. The conviction overtakes him that he does not belong here.
And then the bell snapped off the tower and fell on the woman.
That'd be one way.
He says to the woman after the last chime resounds.
Yes?
Wouldn't you say that people will give thanks for each safe day and pray for good fortune in the day to come because they know their lives will end?
What's wrong, Kaim?
I'll be leaving the village when the harvest is over.
What? All of a sudden? What's happened?
I have no right to live here.
He says. Ignoring his stupefaction, Kaim lifts the vegetable basket in both arms.
Kaim
Feels
out.
guilty.
He takes another good, long look at the setting sun.
Where will you go, Kaim? If you leave here?
I don't know. Somewhere.
Are you just going to keep wandering like this?
I don't have any place to go home to.
Says Kaim. Hoisting the basket into his shoulder, he starts down the hill. His back glows red in the setting sun.
And so the lone stranger rode off into the sunset.
Basically,
Never be heard again.
That's
in
actually
that
a very
town.
simple story.
True, yeah, it's interesting. We've seen story goes for very happy or downer endings, but this one felt surprisingly neutral. Not in a bad way, mind you, but it's interesting. We don't even see if the woman dies, so...
I guess because we're used to having all the people that Kaim meets die anyway, but in this case, he just quits before that happens.
Yeah, basically.
I'm guessing also this one was to show that he feels guilt for not valuing his life as much as most people do.
You know war's a dangerous job. Apparently not.
Go home,
That,
Jensen.
that was totally improvised by the actor.
I'm sure he'd love to go home, but he can't.
Damn, they must be planning to invade Ura.
True.
Oh no.
That is true, yeah.
What the heck was that glint in his eye?
Robot? Don't worry, you'll see what that is.
Still though,
He's a robot.
okay. Still though, that line read, damn, they're planning to attack my home.
Don't worry, Dibs. It's magic.
It's like having Cosmo in Waterworld. My boat.
Like, I don't know, like, don't get me wrong, I've been enjoying his... Let's
So
be
you
honest,
have to
I'm pretty
remember,
sure
Joe,
ad-libbing-
this is Sonic Adventure 1 Knuckles, the guy that gives us the "oh no" line.
Oh
Yeah.
no! Oh no! Oh no!
I guess the thing is, like, well, while it feels like he's been ad-libbing, at least it's felt like he's reacted relatively fine to each one. This one is legit just dull surprise out of nowhere for some reason.
The seagulls are singing. Isn't
Yes,
it
I can
beautiful?
I know, this is basically Final Fantasy and everything but name.
And this reminds Kaim of something.
I was a seagull once, it was awful.
Yeah, seagulls are regarded as rats with wings, essentially.
Oi!
Oh, sorry, non-elegant rats with wings.
Portraitist of the Dead.
Ooh, that sounds like a Castlevania title.
She always has morning clothes with her. That way she can begin a portrait as soon as request comes in. And so it is today. Having slipped into her morning dress into the shed of the pier, she boards the downstream ferry. Her hands are full. One holds the case with her painting tools and the other the garment bag for her morning dress. She has heard that a rich man lies dying in a town 20 kilometers downstream.
Therefore, I must paint him.
They're going to explain the reason for her job.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, she officiates...
Her name is
portraits for
Rosa.
funerals.
It's a race against time, she says with a grim smile. I have to start as soon as possible, before the face changes.
Changes how?
Kaim asks. It's hard to say. There is a deepening strain to Rosa's smile. But I know it when I see it, when the person has gone from this side to the other side. Once they're over, I can't paint them. At least not in a way that will please the family. It just can't be done. So basically, it's the family's way of preserving the memory of the person who died, basically.
This woman, Rosa, is she Kaim's wife?
No.
I was wondering, because Kaim's just there all of a sudden.
Rose is a professional portraitist of the dead. The custom of preserving death masks is now widely practiced in this area. Families too poor to hire an artist daub the face of the newly deceased with dye and preserve the loved one's deathbed expression on a cloth pressed against the dyed face. Some families make a death mask with plaster. Only the wealthiest families can afford to hire a professional like Rosa, so that lurking in the background of an individual's death there can be a variety of disputes. They're actually going to explain what Kaim is doing with her.
And besides, Drova, it's just, suspension of disbelief of this is another stop in Kaim's endless journey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just wondering if the revelation was going to be that this is Kaim's wife, and
I have
they
heard
say that
families
she
crawling
handles
over the
death a
inheritance
lot better
behind my
than
back,
he
even as I
does.
sit there sketching in that person. One widow presented the portrait of her husband to the court to prove that he had been poisoned. Another time, some loan sharks waited until the moment the man died and charged right into the house. One husband tried to spit in his wife's face as soon as she gave up the ghost. Apparently she had been unfaithful to him for years. Rosa tells her stories with utter detachment. She reveals no emotion at all. This, she says, is indispensable to becoming an outstanding portraitist of the dead. Don't get emotionally involved, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then.
Sure.
You have to open your sketchbook and get your brushes going with the bereaved family members right there, overcome with grief. There's no way you can produce a good portrait if you become emotional, or allow yourself to be swept up in the emotions of the other people in the house. Kaim responds with a silent nod. His only connection with the woman is to have boarded the same boat and sat at the same table in the cafe on the deck. Only a few minutes have passed since she started volunteering her stories, but that is all it has taken for Kaim to perceive the hint of nihilism lurking in her beautiful features.
What does nihilism mean?
Nihilism, you remember, Dweebs, it's usually from the philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche, the idea of, negation of, well, okay, explain later.
The more respectable
Basically,
artists despise
nihilism is
painters
the
like me.
belief that life is meaningless, Dwibs.
Basically, yeah.
Why is that?
Well, half of them accuse us of making our living from people's deaths. The other half look down on us for not being moved by what we do. I see their point. I mean, the emotions that will give rise to the arts. Whether it's painting, sculpture, music, or literature, we don't have emotions like that. We're nothing but craftsmen. Rosa speaks without a hint of either self-mockery or pride. Her tone suggests that she is merely stating the obvious in an obvious way. I mean, she kind of is, so...
Captain Obvious to the rescue.
Basically. Kaim takes a sip of his rye whiskey, and Rosa drinks from her rose petal tea. The boat makes its leisurely way downstream. The season is spring. The river is high with snow melt, and white water birds have settled on its surface. Strange, Rosa says, with a giggle. When I first saw you, I thought you and I must be members of the same profession, which is why I took the initiative to speak to you. Kaim gives her a strained smile. He knows nothing about painting, and he is fairly certain there is nothing about his appearance that would cause him to be mistaken for an artist. Well, it could be, however, that in profile of this man drinking whiskey alone in the afternoon, Rosa has recognized the hue of nihilism over her, like her own. Or then again, she might have perceived the shadow of the other side clinging fast to Kaim's back. You bring death with you, don't you, Kaim? Until a few days ago, Kaim was on a battlefield. There he witnessed the killing of many enemies and many allies, but he was unmoved by any of it. Such youthfulness had long since vanished from him. Though outwardly changed, Kaim has lived through several centuries. It has happened so often that he can't even be bothered to have any kind of reaction. Rosa says that she is in her mid-30s, in her 10th year since becoming a portraitist of the dead, which apparently puts her near the beginning of her career. If you won't mind, she adds, I have a few more things I'd like to discuss with you. When Kaim nods silently in compliance, Rosa thanks him and gives him her first heartfelt smile of the day. Portraitists of the dead are never present while the subject is dying. The very fact that such a professional has been called means that the person's death is imminent, and so theirs is seen as a presence of ill omen or even defilement. A family member or friend who has been at the bedside dares to broach the subject quietly in another room. Don't you think it may be time to call a painter? The answer, either too soon for that, or I think you may be right, is delivered in guarded tones.
Jeez, it's like a portraitist is the Grim Reaper.
Mm-hmm. Oh look, he's dying. Quick, get someone to paint a painting of him. Introduced to the family by the church, the portraitist never enters the house by the front door. Rather, he or she goes around the back and is shown to a room where the sun cannot penetrate. There, the painter changes into mourning clothes and waits for the announcement of the death. Eventually, a quiet knock on the door is followed by a summons to appear, and the painter dressed in mourning sets to work. Not all deaths occur at the end of long lifetimes, of course. All too often the painter must depict the face of one who has died young of illness or accident. The face that emerges in the artist's sketchbook radiates with delicate vivacity of one who has just crossed the border dividing life from death. One who has only moments before transited from this world to the other world.
In his world. But yeah, no, from what I understand, they want them to paint them pretty much like after the death is as fresh as possible, it seems.
The work presented to the family in an oil painting done from the sketch, but Rosa believes the sketch itself is a far more authentic portrait of the dead. There's nothing quite like the atmosphere in a room where someone has just died. How to put it? It's as though the flow of time has stopped, or time itself is melted into the very air. The sobbing and the wailing sound as if they might last forever. The only movement of time in all this being the way the face of the dead person emerges little by little onto the blank white page of the sketchbook. She hands him her fixed sketch pad. See? She says, showing him countless faces of the dead. This is 2 years' worth. Look at that, 2 years of dead people.
Time is money, literally.
Many of the faces are peaceful, but others are full of agony, and all without exception possess a mysterious presence. They differ unmistakably from faces in sleep, however. Neither do they look dead. They seem as if they might open their eyes at any moment or just as easily crumble into ash. They hover, men and women alike, on the very brink of death. After the body has cooled, it's too late. It's also too late if the family has begun making its preparations for the funeral. The game is won or lost in those very few minutes following the death itself. All we can do is start sketching, as efficiently and expeditiously as possible. With a painful smile, Rosa adds, "In the eyes of the family, though, that makes me a cold-hearted woman."
I mean, they're the ones hiring you to literally sketch someone right after their death. Holy cow.
This is some Marvel citizen bullshit.
Yeah. You literally hired this one.
for doing your job.
Yes. Kaim turns the pages of her sketchbook, saying nothing. You would like to tell her that Dia is the same on the battlefield. There no one has time to mourn the death of a soldier. If you're busy shedding tears instead of doing the next thing you have to do, you end up being one of those forced to travel to the other world.
But tell me, Kaim, can love bloom on the battlefield?
No.
The final sketch in the book is unfinished. The face of a young girl. The general outlines of the hair and the face are sketched in, nothing more. Kaim looks questioningly at Rosa. "My daughter," she says softly.
But why?
A portrait painter of the dead reaches full maturity in the profession when she is able to paint a member of her own family. Which only makes sense. I mean, how self-serving is it if you can be coldly objective toward the death of a stranger, but not toward a member of your own family?
So she's saying her daughter actually died, or just she had to know she'd be ready if her daughter died?
Well, let's see. Her daughter died 2 years ago. There you go, Jordan. The girl's 3 short years of life brought to a sudden end by a bad flu that was making the rounds. I was holding her hands almost until the moment she died, Rosa says. I was in tears, calling her name and pleading with her to come back to me, not to die. After the doctor looked at her with a shake of his drooping head, Rosa released her daughter's hands and opened her sketchbook. Wiping her tears, she picked up her pencil and tried to sketch her daughter's face. But I couldn't do it. The tears came pouring out of me no matter how much I wiped them. I simply couldn't work. Kaim turns his gaze on the unfinished sketch again. Some areas of the white paper were wavy, perhaps where Rosa's tears had fallen.
That's a messed up job if it literally requires you to sketch a dead loved one's face.
I guess there was nobody else around that could do it for her, so she had to do it herself.
If you paid attention between the lines, this is also mostly comparable to the blooming of a flower, particularly the ones that bloom for like 5 minutes and then wither.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm not qualified to be a portraitist of the dead, she says with a smile, glancing down at the river. But still, if I had to choose one work of art to leave behind, this would be it. The boat gives a blast on its steam horn. Frightened, the birds on the river leap into the air in a great mass. Kaim closes the sketchbook and returns it to Rosa. He considers complimenting her on the excellence of the drawing, but chooses to silence instead. Such praise he feels could be sign of disrespect for her work, for Rosa herself, and for her dead daughter. I didn't mean to bend your ear like this, she says. I'm sorry. She stands and peers at Kaim once again. Really though, you look like a member of my profession. Kaim gives her a strained smile and shakes his head. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that, she responds with a strained smile of her own. And you probably won't like my saying this either, but please call me if you ever need a portraitist of the dead. Sorry, honey, he will not need a portraitist.
I mean, in case of a loved one, remember,
I
Kaim
guess
has
now-
had multiple fans. I won't need one.
See? Kaim says.
I have no family.
See? No family? Well then, when your own time comes... With a little chuckle, Rosa leaves. Her right hand grasps the case with her painting supplies. Her left the garment bag with mourning clothes.
You know, there's some sad irony if this is during the time when he thought his daughter was dead.
Unfortunately, Kaim will never need her services. He cannot go to the other world just yet. On the long road of his life, how many deaths must he encounter? The steam horn blasts again. The boat gradually lowers its speed and edges toward the riverbank. The landing draws closer. When he leaves the boat, his journey will begin again. It will be a long journey. The next battlefield lies far beyond the mountains that tower in the distance. The end.
Back to my whiskey.
Yeah, basically. Alright.
God, and it's only 5 a.m.
Okay, with that done, let's go to the Crimson Forest.
Yeah, your grandson's missing there.
It's okay.
Hopefully your memories will give you a good
I
idea of where
was
you
just busy
were.
having a flashback, sorry.
Alright. Okay, so the Crimson Forest is just outside of town. So,
Yeah, we have actually went in the previous part just briefly.
But wait, it's Verbolten. How will we get in?
let's see.
And just go through the front door.
We are.
It really is
Wow.
crimson.
Oh,
Yeah, it's voiced.
Well, I overheard in town that there's a reason this forest has been crimson for years.
Isn't it just the color of autumn leaves? Although, it is incredibly intense.
sometimes that means evil. Rare times that can mean a good
The
thing.
forest is cursed, stained with blood. It's also called the Forest of Sorrow.
What? Blood?
Oh, don't be a wimp.
It was 500 years ago, wasn't it? Huh?
Oh, that. Huh.
Hmm? Does that remind us of another flashback?
500
Not yet.
years ago, a country to the east invaded Numara. This forest is now crimson, the color of the blood from those who fell in that battle.
Ah, haunted level.
Who knows how many thousands of forgotten soldiers lie beneath the soil, staining this forest red for eternity.
I mean, it seems like it's doing a good job with, bird wildlife.
Huh. We gotta make it creepy somehow. I'm guessing those red things are spirits?
I don't know.
I guess it's kind of like the mist from 112, the idea of magic energy in a haze format.
Walking among the mist. What are we, some kind of mist walker?
And there you go. Break these rocks and you'll get an item.
Those are the equivalent of the treasure chests.
So, what good are seeds overall?
Basically, they're used to they're materials, so you confuse stuff. Basically. Oh, look at that! A door.
That is something that's reserved usually for the end game with side material.
Super boss, I
Well,
presume.
no, not really, but
It's
I'll
actually
explain.
too. It's the way that they come out of the dungeon, basically.
I thought it was one of those. I thought it was one of those doors that can be opened by you know who in the end game.
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, let's go.
See, Cook even has a similar stance to Jansen. Makes sense.
Like I said, Cook and Mack are supposed to be a throwback to Palom and Porom, even though they are different in age instead of being twins. So they also keep the bit of mischievous attitude in battle that they had.
Mm-hmm. Alright, let's use casting support on Jensen. There you go.
Okay.
Well, shit.
Ugh, sleep spells. Never been a fan of those.
Alright, let's defend for now.
All of you, die!
There we are.
Elegant words there, Seth.
It's not in my nature to lose.
Her HP is still rising. And
Nice.
Cook learned prayer. Okay. Moving on. Alright, since it's almost a half hour, let's go back and save. First, There you go. We can also find things in the mushrooms.
Crystal fragment.
It's like when you're playing DuckTales and you find pieces of cake in treasure chests. How long have those cakes been in there, Scrooge? Are you sure you want to eat those?
I mean, it's kind of the same what happens with Kuni, since your items,
Yeah.
eating items are stuff like sandwiches, and you do find them in treasure chests.
Yeah, true. Alright, everybody, see you for the next part where we explore the Crimson Forest. See ya.
Yeah.
See ya.
Okay then.